Hey, how's it going everyone? Welcome back to Keeping Fish Simple. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about how to get rid of cloudy water in your aquarium. So I addressed this in a video quite a long time ago and I just rewatched that video, and there's a few things that I kind of like to mention in between me watching that video and what I've said in it. So in today's video, I'm going to be explaining a few things that I've learned with all my aquariums behind me with some cloudy water, and some things that you guys can do to fix this problem and some things that could be causing it. So make sure you stay around to the end of the video for the YouTube algorithm. It really does help me out, and please consider giving this video a like, but also because then you'll get to see all the information that I'm about to give you. And without any further ado, let's get started. Okay, so when it comes to cloudy water, there's a vast majority of things that could be happening. All of these things could be bacteria blooms, it could be that your substrate is dirty, it could be that you have inadequate filtration, it can be that you have too many fish, and it can even be that there's some biofilm on your glass. So basically I'm going to run through all of those things I just said and pretty much explain how these things can cause cloudy water. So the first thing is going to be that bacteria bloom. So this is something that can happen quite easily in an aquarium, especially if an aquarium is more new. And basically what has to happen is there has to be like a sudden dose of nutrients available to bacteria for them to suddenly bloom, and these bacteria bloom into tiny little things, you can't even see them, and that's what creates that cloud in the aquarium. This is commonly caused by overfeeding. There can be dead fish and all that kind of stuff. I'm hoping that there's no dead fish in your aquariums. And also this is really common with new aquariums, just an imbalance in nutrients. There's too many nutrients available for those bacteria to use and grow and overpopulate, and then you just have a huge cloud of bacteria. So, and my second thing that I've noticed over the past 7 years of keeping fish to cause cloudy water is new substrate. So when I set up a new aquarium, pretty much every single time that aquarium is going to have some cloudiness in there. Now, this is really only with aquariums with substrate. Normally when I set up like a bare bottom tank or something like that, there's absolutely no cloudiness, and this is because there's no debris attached to anything in the aquarium except for maybe what's on the glass and on the filter and all that kind of stuff. So I had it with this aquarium behind me, I had it with this aquarium down here. It's completely normal, and that can be why your aquarium's clouding. So I think it's common knowledge to clean your substrates every time you set up a new aquarium. Make sure that you get like a bucket and you just hose it out with the substrate in there and you give it a good clean, because you have no idea where that substrate's been. That could have been literally dragged through a river and it's got tons of dust and dirt in there, and that could be what's clouding up your water. So I clean all my substrates, but this is a really easy fix, and normally this will just like fix itself over time with filtration, and all those little sediments will fall down to the bottom. So if you've set up a new aquarium, don't worry, the sediment, like all that like dust and stuff, will sort itself out. But if you guys are about to set up one, just clean your gravel. It's going to save you so much time. And my third reason why we get cloudy water in aquariums is there's simply too many fish in the aquarium. So you might have overstocked your aquarium, and this can especially happen with fish that are commonly known to stir up substrate and move sand around the aquarium. So shell dwellers and all that kind of stuff, and geophagus, all those kind of fish will get in there and they'll stir up the substrate, and that stuff can often bring debris into the water column and cloud it up. So those are some really common things that can happen. Fish that kind of get around the substrate and move it around. I've even noticed like Crebensis do it, and sometimes even Apistogrammas. A lot of little cichlids kind of like tend to do it. So that can be a really common issue. But also what can happen if you have an aquarium that's overstocked is that those fish create a big bioload, and that can turn into a big bacteria bloom, and that's very common to happen when you overstock an aquarium. And then my fourth reason why you can get cloudy water in an aquarium is inadequate filtration. So what I mean by that is either the media or the amount of filtration. So I'm not a real big filtration guy. In fact, I keep all sponge filters in my aquariums, and if you want to know why, there's a video up here. You guys can go through and watch, and I'll completely explain it. I'm not that big on filtration. I normally rely on a lot of little bacteria and stuff like that to break down the biological side of the filtration in my aquarium. Often, sometimes when you set up a new aquarium, like I was talking about before, the filtration in your aquarium is not enough to take all that debris out. So I use sponge filters, so I don't really have to worry about this too much. But sometimes if you use hang on the back filters and canister filters and all that kind of stuff, what can happen is the media that you're using is too coarse, and there's too many spaces for the material to get through, and they're not going to filter it properly. So if you use stuff like wool, that's going to be way better for taking out material from the aquarium, because it's got a lot less holes that stuff can get through, and it's obviously going to take more stuff out. But compared to something with bigger holes, like a big porous sponge or something like that, it's just not going to be able to take out as much debris. So that can be a reason why I don't really rely on this one too much, because I don't see it to be a cause of why. I just see it to be more of like a kind of quick fix, is to up the filtration and get like a higher flow through the aquarium, but that can have a whole bunch of negative impacts, and I'm going to talk about them in a second. And then the fifth reason why is there could just simply be, I'm not kidding you, this does happen, there could be just some biofilm on the glass. So the glass could just be dirty, and the aquarium water's fine. So normally over time, biofilm forms on the glass, and this is just like a slime kind of coat layer of just like little organisms that form over time. Even on the glass, there's those bacteria that are super useful in the ammonia and nitrate cycle in your aquarium and helping you out to make sure that you don't have any ammonia in your aquarium. So what I recommend is just give it a scrub, make sure this isn't the issue. It can be a really, really easy fix, and if that is your issue, I thought I'd just mention this really quickly just to make sure this wasn't the problem for you. Okay, and those were the common reasons why your aquarium water is going to be cloudy. Now I'm going to give you guys some solutions and some fixes to this issue. Often this issue can be quite a good indicator of some other issues in your aquarium, like problems with ammonia and nitrates and all that kind of stuff. So it often indicates imbalances and things like that. So I'm going to try and give you guys some of the fixes that I use when I notice I have cloudy water, and some of the things I've used in the past just to fix this problem. Now, like I was talking about before, the filtration can be an issue sometimes. It's not really a cause of cloudy water, but it's going to be definitely something that you can use to fix the cloudy water. So upping the filtration in your aquarium and adding really, really fine media to your filters is going to be very, very useful. But however, this can have significantly bad consequences on some fish. So if you've got guppies and things like that, they're going to be fish that don't really like to have high flow, and you're actually going to tire them out and cause some issues if you start to get really, really powerful filters that are trying to quickly take all this stuff out of the water. So that's something to be aware of. You don't want to have like a fish that, like a betta or something like that, that really likes to sit in stagnant water, and you don't want to bring like a big filter in that's going to push it around and make it swim all the time. It's just going to tire it out, and you can even kill the fish. So that's just something to be aware of. It's definitely a fix to add more filtration, and filtration with really, really fine media, but it's just going to be like a very, very temporary fix, and I wouldn't recommend doing it for a very long period of time. And then of course, like the other fix is going to be to add just less porous filter media. So if you've got like porous filter media, add less porous filter media, add something that's going to have less spaces for stuff to get through, and it's going to help you filter out all that stuff. But I'm going to tell you what I do. So no bull here, this is exactly what I do, and this is what I'd recommend doing, and this is to up the water changes. So my go-to solution normally when I have problems like this in my aquariums, and this is just my opinion, so don't get completely offended. If you guys have different solutions, it's completely up to you to use those, but what I like to do is up the water changes. So I'll do like 40 to 50% a day until this issue goes, and this will normally fix up the issue. So if I get like cloudy water normally in my aquariums, I actually get it quite a bit, and this can happen when I feed like a zucchini to my aquariums to feed the plecos, or if I feed like some green beans and stuff like that. It really does cloudy it up, because those guys are just really, really messy eaters, and that can be a really common cause of why like you get like cloudy water. And the way I fix this is literally water changes. So it might take a couple of attempts, but I'll do quite a few water changes. I'll do some really, really big ones, and that'll normally fix up the issue. You've got to be careful, obviously, when you're doing water changes. I don't want to like make this too complicated for you guys. You don't want to like completely stress the fish out, and if you've got like little neocaridine or shrimp and stuff like that, lots of water changes can actually be detrimental. Maybe you can up the filtration on that side of things. I've noticed that with all the fish that I keep, which are dwarf cichlids, angelfish, bristlenose plecos, neon tetras, and rainbow fish, normally I just have to do a couple of water changes to get this issue out of my aquarium. And when I was keeping fish at the start, I found it like very, very confusing, because a lot of people were saying you only needed to do water changes once a day. Look, I don't really have a problem with a lot of people doing water changes frequently, as long as they're not tampering with too much of the stuff inside the aquarium. So I wouldn't recommend going in with a big gravel vac and siphoning out all the stuff in there, because substrate holds a really large amount of the beneficial bacteria in your aquarium. So I wouldn't recommend doing that, but I definitely recommend upping some water changes, and that's simply what I would do. So look, I hope this video helped you out. Cloudy water is kind of one of those things for me where there's no simple fix, and I wouldn't recommend adding chemicals and stuff like that to your aquarium. My fix is going to be doing just frequent water changes, 50% a day, and this issue should go away. So I hope you guys learned something today. I hope I could help you fix your issue. I'll see you guys in the next video.